Good morning, everyone. My name is Sam Webber. I'm an incident meteorologist trained here on the Calf Canyon Fire, training with the one and only Tom Bird. And we'll get started today with the Facebook weather update on June 7th, Tuesday. So taking a look here, we have a nice big picture view of the Southern Plains region where you can see a lot of clouds going on today. So we've been talking a lot over the past few days about moisture increasing as we head into the early weeks. So this is really what you're seeing over here. Right over here we have New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, and Kansas. And what you'll notice here over southern central Oklahoma is a big bubbly area, really. That's a severe thunderstorm complex that's moving through south central Oklahoma, southeastward, where there's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flooding going on. So that's something really cool to look at here. In fact, those cloud tops that you're seeing bubbling up kind of like a pot of water are up to 50 to 60,000 feet. So they're punching into another layer of the atmosphere. And you'll notice some rippling as you move further south and west of that. And that's what we call gravity waves. And so it's really cool to see something like that punching up through the atmosphere, creating some gravity waves, which is essentially if you take a pebble and drop it in a pond, you see all those ripples move out. It's the same effect here, except in the opposite direction. So instead of down into a pond, it's punching up through the atmosphere and it's creating ripples. So we'll move in a little closer zoomed up view of New Mexico here in the next slide. And what you can see, we've been talking a lot the past few days about a backdoor front pushing into our area, bringing more moisture in and increasing our humidities, lowering our temperatures, bringing some more cloud cover. Last night we had a little push of that boundary into the area, and you'll notice here, so right along where I'm pointing here is along the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Just to the east of it, you'll notice this area of low clouds hanging around. So some of that moisture worked its way into the area last night, and we're starting to see some of that today as we start to move into the daytime. Our satellite view is starting to see some of those lower clouds, but they're starting to dissipate. And so today we're expecting to see more of those clouds burn off as we head in the afternoon, as we start to battle between dry to our west, where you see western New Mexico is relatively cloud free, and cooler and moist to our east, where we see all those cloud covers. So that's kind of what we've got going on right now. If we move on to our next slide here, we'll take a look at today's weather maps. Here we are in the red circled areas for today on the left and Wednesday on the right. So today on the left, you'll notice this area of shaded green and then striped yellow. So that's where we're expecting showers and thunderstorm activity today. The yellow striping meaning more severe, more significant storms. The greener shading on the outside is kind of showery and thunderstorm, but not severe, but still could get some lightning activity there. So essentially today, with that moisture, I mentioned how some of it's been pushed in. We've got a little bit more over the area, but it's going to try to be pushed back today. As we head into the day, we're going to see some more buildups of clouds over the terrain. And just a few of those clouds may develop into thunderstorms. So we're not really expecting a whole lot over the fire today, but we could potentially see a storm. It's not supposed to produce a whole lot of precipitation because we haven't brought all of that moisture into the area. So dry lightning today is really what we're worried about for the people up there. Again, it's a really low-end chance. We're thinking around 10 to 15%, but it could be a pretty serious hazard to those crews that are out on the lines today. As we push over towards Wednesday here, you notice that area of green shading now expands more so over our red circled area where our fire is. And that's because that moisture is fully pushed in. We're going to have much better chances tomorrow at seeing some showers and thunderstorms right over the fires and potentially creating actually measurable precipitation. So we'll move next on to today's weather map just to show you kind of what we're talking about with our storms today. So I mentioned that frontal boundary that pushed in overnight that brought us some moisture. There we are in the red circle, kind of right along the boundary's edge. And out to the east, you see these clouds with severe. That's where we're expecting most of our storms today. So I mentioned we're going to have potentially a dry thunderstorm over the fire, but most of the activity will be to the east. Cooler temperatures slightly today, still a warm day. Vegas is sitting at 85 degrees for today's forecast. And this is our last day truly in this stretch of warm and dry period, that warm and dry period that we've been talking about that we need to get through. So that kind of highlights it pretty well there. Moving on to the next map here, we'll take a look at our 3-day rain outlook. And so this bigger graphic here on the right, you'll notice is the 72-hour forecast for how much rainfall we're expecting. If you took all the rainfall that was expected from today into Thursday and added it all up, that's what this forecast is showing. So in that circled red area where we are here, we're looking at anywhere from about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rain. If we break it down day by day, here on the left, we got today, Wednesday, and Thursday. Today, again, I mentioned very little chance for seeing measurable precipitation over the fire with those storms that are going to be occurring today. Most of it is east of our area, but there's potential for a small amount, again, I said around 1/100th, to push back into our fire. But our big focus is going to be on Wednesday, where we can see most of that accumulation that you're seeing here on the bigger graphic is highlighted in this middle graphic on Wednesday, where we're seeing about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. Now, these are going to be thunderstorms. We're not talking widespread rainfall. We're talking scattered thunderstorms that if you're under a storm, you could see anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch or maybe more. If you're not under that storm, you're not going to see anything at all. So it's really hit or miss, all or nothing when it comes to these storms. And then Thursday, we start to push some of that moisture back out of the area as we go back into a warming and drying period, but we're still expecting a couple showers to occur over the area. So we'll move into this next graphic here. And I mentioned the threat of thunderstorms being the greatest on Wednesday. So with those storms producing anywhere from about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rainfall, again, hit or miss, it's generally not an issue in an area like this time of year, where we've got a lot of forest, a lot of green, able to absorb that moisture that falls from the sky. However, with this recently burned area that we have, we're going to introduce the threat for debris flow flash flooding. And what I mean by that is all that green area that was once that got burned over is now a landscape that can hardly absorb any water. So any of that moisture that falls over that burned area is going to run off straight into the drainages and cause some pretty significant impacts. So the National Weather Service in Albuquerque, New Mexico has issued a flood watch for Wednesday afternoon through Wednesday evening for this Northeast Highlands area. That includes, right here circled in big red, our Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak burn scar, or fire area rather, and then also the Cooks Peak fire up to our northeast. So over the next day, we could see some pretty significant impacts from torrential rainfall over that recently burned area. Again, on a normal year, this wouldn't be an issue with no fire or burned areas, but now we've got all that changed landscape, and all that rain is going to run right off into the drainages. So make sure you pay attention to the forecast and listen to the National Weather Service over the next few days. So let's move on. Lastly here, we'll finish up with our fire weather matrix. Talked a little bit about today how we're going to be one more day of that warm and dry period, introducing at least a slight chance for some showers today. We're moving into Wednesday and Thursday. You see a lot more green on this matrix because we're having that moisture push in. We're increasing our humidities over the fire. We're decreasing the temperatures. We're bringing a chance of showers in. And then Thursday forward, we start to lose more and more of that green that's on the matrix. I talked about that warming and drying trend. That's what we're looking at. We're starting to introduce more yellow, more red on the matrix here, which means we're going to get warmer and drier and even a little bit more breezy. So a little relief here over the next couple days, but as we head into the weekend, we're looking at potential for another active elevated fire weather period. So that'll conclude today's Facebook weather update, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks.